Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training. Here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear and On Point Pest Control. This week we're talking about the power or the advantage of reflection. I've had a lot of time to reflect over the past couple weeks. I spent almost 3 weeks with pneumonia, and when you're laying there, you think back, you think about all the things that you have gone through or the things that you've done, particularly, it seems, the things that you could have done better. And it's interesting that your mind goes there, but that's the way that we are built. And it made me start to think about all the things that I teach as a mental performance coach and in the school of communication at the University of Akron. And one of the first videos I show in my public speaking classes is a TEDx talk called The 110 Techniques of Communication and Public Speaking by a guy named David J.P. Phillips. The talk's about 110 factors, as you can imagine, that make good public speakers great. And his idea is that the more of these that you do, the better you are. Well, in his periodic chart of 110 things, number 22 is the effective pause. And Phillips claims, and you can confirm this from your own experience, that we do not like to pause. We don't like to stop. We don't like silence. In fact, we like it so little that in his words, we can sound like a herd of gaggling sheep as we our way out of the silence when we're speaking. I thought of this talk as I was prepping to speak to a group of insurance people last week, and our focus was on reflecting and pausing, pressing on or pivoting based on our position at the end of the first quarter. We were working on awareness, assessment, and looking to achieve more over the next 3 quarters. But as Phillips jokes in his TED Talk, pausing and reflecting is not always at the top of our oh goody list of things to do, but it should be. Self-awareness is our superpower. But in order to use this Marvel-like capacity that we have to do something to become more aware. And building self-awareness demands that we pause and reflect. Unfortunately, so many of us fall into that mindset, and we say, as Philip says in the video, nope, I won't do it. And I know why, because as I was laying there thinking about all the mistakes I made as a coach, it's like, gosh, I wish I could just go to sleep. But why do we really dislike true reflection? Why do we waste this opportunity for learning, especially after we win? We say a lot. You've heard coaches and everyone in your life say, we win or we learn. But let's think about how we can just learn, period. How can we use our wins and our losses and reflect on them in a way that helps us learn no matter what the outcome? We'll get to that in just a minute, but why don't we like to look in the mirror or under the bed or even into the light? Why are we afraid of what we might see? As you read the reasons that I share here over the next couple minutes, or as you listen to the reasons in this case, I want you to remember this. Research shows that employees who spent 15 minutes a day reflecting on what they learned perform 23% better than those who did not. 23% better. It's time to shoot some holes in all of our reasons that we don't like to pause. The Harvard Business Review author Jennifer Porter, in an article called Why You Should Make Time for Self-Reflection Even If You Hate Doing It, gives us 5 reasons executives don't include intentional reflection in their peak performance rituals. And we can try these 5 on too. They go across all domains. Everybody, we all perform. Her top reason is that most of us don't understand the process of reflection. We think that it entails only looking at what went wrong, which is what I was doing as I'm laying in bed for days and days. If we are doing it this way, we're missing out on the true benefits of reflection because we don't like to stay there. And according to Lindsay Hamilton, who's the head of mental conditioning at IMG Academy, success is a golden opportunity to learn. This seems like a really duh thing, but we aren't really good at reflecting after a so-called win or a good result. And I hear it all the time when I talk to my coaches. I say, good win after a great weekend. And what do they come back with? Thanks, we turned the ball over too many times or something like that. And you do it, and so did I. So many of the thoughts that run through our minds after anything we do are evaluations and judgments entwined with emotions, and this keeps us from looking at what went well or looking at facts in general. We let our feelings lead the way. And Hamilton goes on to say that it's challenging to build consistency if you can't bring back to the table the things that worked in the first place. She also said it's challenging to build confidence if you're unclear on what works and where you're strong. Of course, as I mentioned, we look at what didn't work. We always find the places where we need to improve. We're conditioned innately to do that. But when we look back on failures and we look back at the things that went well, we learn faster and more efficiently and more effectively, giving ourselves a huge competitive advantage. And who doesn't want to learn faster and more efficiently? Well, the devil's advocate sits there and says, will this lead to complacency, thinking about what went well? Well, there's no recent research to date that says so. Will we rest on our laurels? Not if we're truly looking to learn and improve even upon those things that worked. Implementing a deliberate approach to learning from our successes is, again, a huge competitive advantage, something we need to learn to do well. Porter's second reason is that we don't like the process. Why? Porter says reflection requires us to do things we aren't fond of, like Phillips says no thanks to slowing down or pausing or silence. She goes on to say that we must also adopt a mindset of not knowing, a mindset of curiosity. We have to tolerate messiness and inefficiency, and we have to take personal responsibility. She goes on to say that the process can lead to valuable insights and even breakthroughs, but it can also lead to feelings of discomfort, vulnerability, defensiveness, and irritation. That keeps us from reflecting. Her third reason is that we don't like the results. If we set a plan to reflect on winning, maybe we'll like the results better. No one likes looking at everything that went wrong all the time, especially when it's hot off the press. But by adding in the well to the well, better, how reflection, that may help us change our feelings a little bit and make us feel a little bit more accomplished. But Mark Bennett, the director of PDS Coaching, suggests that we use a hot review, what he calls a hot review, and a cold review on our own, without discussion from others, after our performance, after our experience. We reflect on ourselves first, and then we reflect on the other aspects of the situation. The hot review is immediate, right after the experience. The cold review takes place at least 24 hours later when emotions have settled and the facts can be more easily acknowledged. I'm not sure this will help us love the results, but it reminds us that sometimes we get carried away by our feelings and we really need to review without them in the forefront. Porter's fourth reason is really interesting. In her explanation, she cites a study done on professional goalies. It says, if goalies stay in the middle of the goal on penalty kicks, they have a 33% chance of stopping a penalty kick, yet only 6% stay there. Why? Because we have a bias toward action. We need to do something. It makes us feel better, makes us feel like we're in control. And staying in the center of the goal makes us feel like we've given the advantage to the opponent because we're not doing anything. Although we're in the goal somewhere, and we are doing something. But reflection feels a lot like this. It feels like we're not doing anything, but as we mentioned, it can give us a huge competitive advantage. We're not in motion, but we're making or gathering decisions or gathering information to make decisions to move to action. And then lastly, Porter says, we don't see a worthy return on investment. That's the last reason that we don't like to reflect. We think the time and energy is better spent elsewhere. We neglect to acknowledge the fact that we're probably reflecting in some way and probably not in a very effective way. We ruminate, we tell the same story over and over, we woulda, shoulda, coulda. We're using that time and energy and getting no return on investment now. And if we want to waste more time, all we need to do is ask why. Why questions? We think that this will help, but why questions are focused on understanding our emotion, not on improving our strategy. It does not help us be more aware. Why questions are not helpful when we're trying to evaluate. What questions, on the other hand, help us look for solutions. The simple strategy shift from why to what helps us focus on the future. It helps us be more objective, and it nudges us to act on the new things that we see in our reflection. So if we want to get better, we don't have time to beat ourselves up. We don't have time to rest on our laurels. We don't have time to avoid things we'd rather not relive. We need to figure out what to do next. That can only come from questions that ask what's important now. So if we restructure our reflection questions, we can increase our ROI and put that time and energy to good use. The bottom line is this. Reflection gives us an opportunity to pause in our do more, go, go, go world with this chatter-filled brain that we all have. We can sort through what happened, look for patterns, both mental and physical, consider other interpretations, and generate meaning that can help us make our next moves. As author Peter Drucker said, follow effective action with quiet reflection. From the quiet reflection will come even more effective action. Awareness, reflection, allows us to assess in a way that helps us achieve more. What will you reflect on this week? If your team needs help with reflection, reach out, juliej@ssbperformance.com. I'd love to work with you and your team to get them using what we've done to make us better. And if you have any thoughts or questions, I'd love to communicate with you. Until next week, have a great week. Have a great reflection. See you next time.